Hello, friends, and welcome back to the second episode of Me, Mommy, and Daddy's story.
Yes, welcome back. In this episode, we are going to talk more about K Mom and K Dad and how we ended up having a romance.
Woohoo!
And the last episode, we left off talking about how K Dad, me, I was my journey to the United States, how I had moved from Romania to Germany and then ended up in the US. Culture shock each time, obviously. And while in the US, as I told you before, I enjoyed traveling and I tried to go back to Romania during the summers. And being in the US, it was different here, and I like going back there for a couple of reasons. One of them was just going back and also seeing my grandparents who were still there and extended family members. But also the environment was much different back then. And what do I mean by that? People had their own gardens in the back. So if you had a house, people had a plot of land that they were working. They would put a lot of vegetables and everything else around, very healthy, very natural. But this might come as a shock to you or surprise. They also had animals. So where I lived, it was normal to have one or two pigs in the back. We had chickens, and yes, so a lot of times you would have, for example, the pig, you would feed it all year round, and come winter time, you would actually cut the pig, so you would know which pig you're cutting, and then it would be used to make all the good foods that you would then store and eat year round, all year round.
Well, that's cool, being able to grow your own vegetables.
Yes, vegetables and a lot of the fruits. So you had the trees, fruits, vegetables. And also, I remember we had rabbits and we also had a duck.
Oh, a duck?
Yes, that we would feed and we would raise them. And that was where the meat came from. So you had those animals. And of course, we had dogs and cats around. So it was a little different. Going back from the US, where I lived in a city, and it kind of felt a lot larger, a little closed in. And then going back to Romania, it was nice to experience that. Of course, talking and being with my friends was also a plus. So in that environment, a lot of the kids used to just hang out in the parks, and it was a tight-knit community. Everybody kind of knew each other. And even growing up, I remember raising children was sort of a communal effort. So when parents had to go to work, it was not unusual for the neighbors or somebody you knew to take care of the children.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so one time it would be one parent that was taking care of all the kids, and then that would switch up. It would be different. It would be someone else. And just as I was going back to where I used to live, where my grandparents lived, so K-Mom also used to go to her grandmother, to her grandparents. So we were very used to sort of a rural setting and being back in small towns or small villages, and also being around all the people in that community and knowing each other. And there were, back in Romania at that time, there were not that many cars. People used mass transit to get around, like buses. So can you imagine this? Sometimes in the middle of the street, we would actually be able to play different games, and for about a good 5-10 minutes, no cars would pass by. Sometimes it was more than that. So you could actually play a long time in the middle of the street without any regards for cars zooming by or anything like that. It was just every now and then, and they were real slow. You would be able to tell from afar away. So just giving you an idea, that was a little different than here in the US, of course. And I used to go back when I could, but since we were not that well off financially here, that meant having to work the entire year, after school jobs or part-time, and saving up my money so I can go during the summer. So that was one aspect of it. And one of the reasons, I know there were some questions on why our paths did not cross. So oftentimes, I didn't go back every summer, but when I would go back during the summertime when I was there, K-Mom was at her grandparents'. So that meant we didn't really get a chance to hang out. I would only stay for about a month and a half, and during that time she was gone most of the time. Also, one more thing, this might be news to you. Back then, you did not have this many opportunities to communicate live. So what that meant is when you wanted to have pen pals or stay in touch with someone, exactly, you would sit down, write a letter, mail it, and sometimes it would take weeks, 2-3 weeks for it to arrive in the US. Then you would sit down, read the letter, of course be happy about it, respond, send it back, and it would take another 2-3 weeks until they got it.
Sending it with the mail or either a bird.
Yes, probably with the bird, it would have gotten there sooner. So it was really tough to stay in touch. Of course, there were phones, but a phone call from Romania to the US and vice versa was extremely expensive. So the real method of communication back then was just sitting down, writing a letter, and mailing it out. And it would take forever to kind of get the news back. And then, of course, as I said, I did end up joining the Army, and I was sent to war as well. And during the service, I did get sick. So that was a tough time in my life. I did end up at an early age having cancer, and I had to go through those treatments. So during that period of time, I did not go back to Romania, and it was a difficult time for Dad, yes, but I went through all the treatments. And meanwhile, on the other side of the pond, so to speak, in Romania, K-Mom was also dealing with some very tough times. She had lost her mom at an early age, and she was very dependent, close to her mother, your grandmother, and that affected her in many ways. So she was even just kind of giving up on the idea of being with someone. And also one of the things she vowed is she will not have like a big wedding reception, because she felt that if she ever were to get married, she wanted her mom to be there for the wedding. So both K-Mom and K-Dad separately were going through some difficult times. And you know, once we were kind of feeling a little bit better about things, I decided to go back and revisit Romania. And that's when we ended up crossing our paths, and we kind of reconnected all over again. So at that point, we were both in our lives, kind of looking for, I guess, new beginnings, or just a way to move on and look toward the future and look at the positive. the summer our paths crossed, we actually had a lot of fun going out with friends. We had a lot of communal friends. So we ended up going to some picnics and doing a lot of different things outdoors. And just to give you an idea, going to a picnic with friends, it entails going out to some locations that we know in the woods. And wherever you find a nice spot with grass next to the water, you would just bring all the things that you needed, set up the fire, and you get food. You just have fun. You bring some music. You play games. So it's a lot of it was relaxed, so to speak. So if you can find just any open space, you can really make your picnic, and everybody's okay with it. It's kind of how people do picnics. It's natural over there. And where we are, we do have a lot of nice outdoors opportunities. Like in the background, you would have woods, mountains, and then you have the water flowing and a little pasture. So it was just really a fun time, very relaxed environment.
That sounds like a nice place to go on a bike or go on a picnic.
Yes. So we did go. We did a lot of biking. Mom was big on biking and outdoors, and I went along. And so slowly we started meeting up in different settings. And of course, we would go out at nighttime and kind of experience that. But both K-Mom and K-Dad really liked being outdoors and just doing outdoors activities like biking, taking walks, trails. We have caves in our area, a lot of beautiful places. I think we even went rafting, whitewater rafting. So
You?
yes,
Rafting?
yes. Things have changed a little bit, but back then we did a lot of outdoorsy activities. That was fun, and I think it will come as no big surprise to everyone that I enjoyed K-Mom's cooking.
Woohoo!
Yeah, so definitely.
Was there some homemade Kavendra bread?
No, at that time she did not make homemade Kavendra bread, and I think one of the reasons is there are so many bakeries and stores where you can get the fresh bread, and they're very close to the homemade one. I know you prefer K-Mom's bread. Of course. But all the other breads that you could get and pastries are very fresh and homemade, so to speak. And so for the bread, it really didn't make much time or sense to make the bread. But she did some amazing cooking.
Woohoo!
Yes. And that, of course, I enjoyed a lot. So her cooking brought me closer in a sense. But then we started going out. We were reconnecting, having a good time together, enjoying each other's company. And that really blossomed into a very good summer romance. And we also felt that it was right in our time, in our lives. It was right to start our own family, start a new chapter in our lives, look forward to the future. And both of us decided that it was time to have an addition, start our own family, and have a baby.
Oh, that's me! I finally become a main character! Woohoo!
Yes, and that will be for another episode, and that's when our main character will finally get in the picture and take over the story, so to speak.
Woohoo!
So we hope you enjoyed this episode, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
See you soon, friends.
Thank you.